What's up, beautiful people? Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, however you are. Thank you for clicking on this video. Let's get to it. Last time we were talking about words and how they can kind of change the true meanings of things, right? We can also, a lot of times we can exchange the essence of something for a little identity, a little label that we can assign to something to help simplify it for us, right? Kind of compartmentalize it for us a little bit. In our language, we have a ton of words, right? And that's just English. But, I'm sure we all could agree that certain words have more meaning or a higher meaning to them, right? Or more sacred, right? Like the word God, right? That's probably the most universal word that there is. God, right? The universe, Allah, prime creator, whatever people call it, right? They have all these different names, all these different labels, and all of these different labels are pointing to one thing, but they all give you a certain meaning or a certain feeling, right? If you go to a certain church and you say, hey, praise be to Allah, and it's a Christian church, they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? You got the wrong set over here, son. Whoop, whoop, so whoop. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like that, right? They're all pointing and talking about the same thing, but our words can kind of change the meaning of what they, can change the interpretation of something, right? So, with that being said, love, right? Love is another word that's supposed to have a lot of meaning to it. Oh, it's supposed to be very serious, right? If you say you love somebody, you're supposed to mean it. It's supposed to carry with it that aspect. And what does that even mean? Because a lot of people have different definitions of what love is and how deep it is, right? Some people don't believe that love is all, the highest, the strongest force of the universe. Some people put more value on other things. So this is where words the dissonance can kind of happen with words, right? When we're all experiencing the same things that are very similar, but we may describe them differently, right? And how words can kind of alter their meanings, or the meanings can get lost in the words, right? If you don't know what a word means, what are you gonna do? You're gonna Google it. What does this word mean, right? It's the meaning. A word is a label, right? It's pointing you to something, but that meaning, that's the divine feminine. That's the divine feminine aspect of that. The word itself is the divine masculine, right? Like I mentioned before, the words is the masculine, the space in between is the feminine. If you're looking at a page of a book, right? Or you're looking at a story, you need words and you need multiples of them. And you need them to have meanings to construct the stuff, right? Just like code, right? Words have more functions than meanings, but that's a whole different thing. And they have meanings too, but the words that you use is the meanings. They're more so serve a function, right? The actual word. Anyways, let me not stray too far, of course. But the meanings is like the divine feminine, right? It's the understanding, it's the unsaid, it's the aspect of it, of everything that surrounds it, the space that surrounds it. That's not the actual thing, right? So, like I mentioned before, when we look at our star, when we look at our sun, right? When we look at our power source, a lot of us humans, we will look at this thing and just be like, oh yeah, we're looking at our power source. It's just the sun. I don't know what else you want me to tell you about it. It's just the sun. I mean, yeah, it does power up everything, but that's just, everything's got a power source kind of thing. But we don't really assign it an intelligence, right? We don't understand its intelligence. A lot of times we can't even fathom it even being intelligent. Same thing with our planet, right? A lot of times humans, we wouldn't even think that plants are intelligent or whatever, or water is intelligent. But hey, there's studies that come out that say, hey, look, water has a certain memory to it. Oh, look, these plants are intelligent. They are living, So, and then humans will end there, right? That's where it will be the next stop as far as how much intelligence we assign the universe that we don't perceive. But if you think about it, all this stuff comes from here. All this stuff comes from this source, right? We may call it the sun, we may call it a star, soul, but let's take a moment real quick to, again, not give it words. And this isn't just to be on some hoopla, yo, just believe. No, it's not that. It's more about deconstructing a lot of how we've been taught to perceive things, right? Decoding the divine, really. This is a celestial body that we're seeing, right? This is divine. And as humans, we assign a label to it like God, and then we make that the biggest thing. So if you say anything with God, it's a whole thing now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and yes, it's the word God is pointing to something, but us as humans, we could never give something that created us a label. We can never name something that created us. You know, we have no right. That's like the child being able to name their parents, whatever they want to call them. That's not how shit works. You know. So take a moment, real quick, without words, to pay reverence, pay respect, whatever. Just take a moment to try to understand a little bit more of what's happening without words, without someone telling you what's happening. You understand the relationship of this sun, right? You understand the relationship of it with our planet, right? You understand the relationship of our planet with us, right? Okay, now we're starting to understand a little bit more cosmically what's going on. So take a moment, real quick, no words. Meditate or think on this relationship that's happening without words. These birds flying in the sky together, I'm not sure if y'all can see them, but this is the masculine and the feminine, right? Like, this is intelligence, right? It's beautiful. They're flying in the sky. Like, it's amazing. All this wouldn't be possible, right? Without this beautiful thing right here, this star. And when you look out in space, that's all you're seeing, right? Stars in space. When it comes down to it, stars, planets, whatever, you know, celestial bodies. So this is ours. This is our closest thing, right, to intelligence. And our intelligence doesn't just stop with us. It doesn't just stop with plants. It doesn't just stop with water. It starts there, you know? We're receivers of it. So we have to look at this thing. I hope when you're looking at this, you're looking at the sun as something that's more intelligent than you can fathom. I hope you are. Because then you're kind of getting onto the right track. If we look at the earth as more intelligent than what we can fathom, then we're getting onto the right track. Us as humans, we can be very arrogant with our words. Oh, it's the earth. Okay. What else is there to know about it? I mean, that's about it. It's the earth. What else do you want me to tell you? It's not about what you're told. It's about what you know. So, see it, feel it, understand that the connection between it all and yourself. Us as humans, we are the heralds of this. We are the ones that are, you know, inherited this land, this place, this being, yeah, that we exist upon. But let's real quick, let's bring it to the third. I don't want this video to go too long, and I said I was going to double back over the last video, so this is me doubling back. Now let's kind of break it down to the third. I don't want this video to last I don't want this to take up too much of your day, so. Okay, so on the third, in our words, right? A lot of times, like I said before, your words can get you caught up, right? Even in the law, in the system, right? A lot of this game, this human game, they use words against us in a lot of ways. You know, there's a lot of semantics that go on at play. There's a lot of wordplay. There's a lot of little trickery that happens, especially when it comes to the laws. You know, if you say a certain word, if you say I understand, yeah, it means something different. When you're talking to the laws, you have to be very careful with what you say because it will be used against you in the court of law. So your words are very tricky, and the ones that are in power, they know how to use this. They know how to use the power of words against you, and they're not going to tell you about it unless you pay to learn about it. So I'm saying this to say that there's a lot of things here on the third where your words aren't really used to connect one another in a lot of ways. Our language is not really used to connect people in a lot of ways. I'm really curious why we don't have technology. I mean, we do have like translation technology, but it's not at the point where the barriers are broken yet. There's still a barrier between countries and stuff and communications. So a lot of our words in the human world, they're not really designed for us to get cosmic awareness. They have cosmic intelligence. A lot of our words have been dumbed down and watered down and muddied down through a lot of things, through slang and whatever, a lot of the words just kind of point back to a more of an original word that points back to more of an original meaning. And we're kind of, we're in the echoes. We're at the point right now where we're in the echoes of true meanings. And also, like on the third, when it comes to just you and your relationships and the dynamics that you have with people, whether they're business or romantic or familial, sometimes you may be at odds with somebody and you're like, man, I really want this to work out. I really want us to come to an agreement or an understanding, right? I want us to come to a mutual space where we can, understand with one another and kind of move forward, because nobody wants to have a bad day. Nobody does. And sometimes it'll just happen, right? Especially it just happens with people. So, there might be a moment sometimes where you're about to have that conversation with somebody. You're like, man, I really want this to work out. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you just want it to work out. And then right when you get into the conversation, boom, right? It devolves. It goes right back to the, oh, dang, this person says this and then another person says that. And then we kind of are now back to trying to figure out who's right, who's wrong and everything. And then we kind of lose. It's really quick. You lose that future that was y'all coming together at this point in time, right? And then it has to kind of come down later, and you have to try to figure it out and whatever. And sometimes whenever y'all disagree, or whoever it is, it can make it harder for y'all to come back around the next time too, because you're like, dang it, I was trying to, it can, you can have the intention of things coming together, but sometimes the words, we can get caught up on words, and before we know it, we're already back. So. Sometimes it's good to just try to approach things sometimes with less words, because they'll mean more sometimes, or they'll be more effective at times. Not all times, but, at certain times. Sometimes it's more about just giving a hug. Sometimes it's more about just kind of being intentional with things. And sometimes, here's a good practice too. Try to communicate what you want to say without saying it. Not to be on some manipulative stuff, or not to be on that weird, like, oh, I'm trying to communicate, I'm gonna kick you in the shin or something. No, not like that. I'm saying, like, sometimes try to communicate what you're saying through like your vibe, right? Through how you look, through how you want to give, like, say like you really want things to work out, right? And sometimes words can get muddy, So if you want something to work out, sometimes it's more about trying to communicate. Like, if you couldn't speak, if you couldn't use words, right? How would you communicate that to somebody? Not being manipulative, not trying to control a situation, not trying to do something like passive aggressive. I'm saying, how would you communicate that you just want to make this work with somebody without words? You probably hug them, right? Or you look them deeply in their eyes. There's ways to communicate things sometimes, Even as an animator, I want to communicate certain feelings, and I can't use words. I have to show it through the character that I'm animating, and I have to show it to the point where I see it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's the feeling. I have to keep working it until I see the feeling. It's not through words. It's through, so much can be communicated just through action or inaction sometimes. But not manipulative, not passive aggressive. I'm definitely highlighting that, making sure we're not talking about that. Just talking about sincerity, right? Sincerity. So, I don't want this video to go too long. We're already at 13 minutes. I hope y'all are enjoying these videos. I don't want them to start going to 20 minutes or whatever. We're going to get into some more conversations. We're going to get into some more conversations and getting into some other subjects, probably about the veil, other aspects of it too, and just how the separation occurs, right? And how we get kind of caught up in these things that cause this identity crisis, or the separation of oneself, and not understanding that all these people walking around, all these things are just you. When you look at a whole thing of ants, you look at a whole mound of ants, you're not just looking at one ant and be like, oh yeah, that's the main character. I mean, yeah, we all have like a little main character syndrome, whatever, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're looking at ants, right? Like, I don't know. Let me not get too crazy into these analogies or whatever. But the veil just occurs when all of these ants that are all supposed to be in unison are now fending for themselves, right? Imagine all these ants living in their own separate houses, their own separate ant hills, and they all have their little separate ant cars, and they all do the same job, but they all live in a little separate ant mountain. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we do as humans. We're all doing the same thing, but we're all separate in a lot of ways. So we'll get more into the veil. We'll get more into how these separations occur in our mentality and our psyche, psychologically, and all that stuff. But anyways, I love y'all, and I hope y'all having a beautiful day. Happy 2025. And I'm calling it 2025D. 2025D. That's what I'm calling it. Okay. All right, y'all. See y'all soon. Peace.